Thank you very much. So a minister was conducting a baptism at the ocean. He had a number of enthusiastic candidates who were excited about the possibility of a new life, a new experience, a new spiritual encounter. And there on the sidelines was a guy who was just observing. He was a spectator. And he had had a night with the spirits, an all night with the spirits. And he decided to make his way to the minister. He was intrigued, and he approached the minister, and he says, "Reverend, I would like to be baptized." And by right of that, the minister could tell that this man had been with the spirits for quite some time because it was just all over him. The reverend said, "Well, okay, sir, we'll baptize you." And he invited the man to come out into the waters. And the man began to make his way, and the reverend summoned him on a little closer, a little further. He said, "I feel that I need to take you deeper." He got the man there in the water, and he held his hand around his head and did this blessing. He took the man down, dipped him in the waters, and brought him up. He says, "Sir, did you find God?" And the man says, No, Reverend, I didn't find God." The reverend says, "Well, let's do it again." The reverend took the man, he held his head, and he did his blessing, and he took him in the water. He held him a little longer. The man began to, anticipate he wanted some breath, and he pulled him up, and he says, "Sir, did you find God?" And the man says, "Reverend, I didn't find God." The reverend said, "Well, let's try it once again." He took the man, he held his head, he blessed him, and he did a longer blessing. He took him under the water. He held him a lot longer. The man is struggling for air. He raised, got him out of the water. He says, "Sir, did you find God?" And the man said, "Well, all due respect, Reverend, I don't think he's in there." Oh, y'all should forgive me, please. So, friends, as we continue this second Sunday in Lent, this journey that leads us to answering this question that comes as our subject today, as the title of our subject. And it's a question that we're all called to answer. It's not a rhetorical question. It's a question that begs a response. In fact, many of us go through our lives facing this question often, and the question is simply, have you found it? And as you consider this Lenten journey, this journey, it's a spiritual journey. It's a journey to ultimate spiritual discovery, and that's what we're on. It leads to that great spiritual stimulus package within the soul. A journey that we're often called on to ask the question, have we found it? And so many have been looking for it everywhere. And if we don't know what the it is, we'll find ourselves thinking that we have found it. But what we find is just a temporary fix. And sometimes it's not even a fix. Sometimes what we find could be a setback, but we think that is simply it. As we consider this idea, have you found it? I'm drawn to the story of a street performer named Connie Roseman who was singing a religious song outside a Beale Street Cafe one day in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, some of you probably heard of Beale Street. Is that a yes? Some of you been on Beale Street. I used to go to Beale Street, good music, Bourbon Street, New Orleans. And so the man was singing on Beale Street, and there are a group of men who walked by and said, "Sir, will you sing us a blues song?" And the man thought about it, and he almost started, and he says, no, gentlemen, I can't do that. And the men asked, "Well, sir, will you sing us a blues, a good blues song?" Y'all know any blues? Y'all know some blues? Yeah. Name one song.
The thrill is gone.
The thrill is gone. All right. I hope you get it back. Oh, forgive me. I just hear one coming up. I better not do it. Oh, I can't do it. No, that's a Lou Rawls, I think. Is it Lou Rawls? You don't have to love me. Somebody else will. You You don't have to love me. Somebody else will. That's all I'm going to give you. I'm not Ryan Sousa. And this is not Jack's concert. This is service. So the man was asked, they asked him, will you sing us a blues song? And he says, I can't do this. They said, well, we'll pay you, sir. And the man said, I just can't do it. And there on the sideline was this lady. Her name was Lucy Campbell. She witnessed this interaction, and she approached Connie Roseman, and she asked him, sir, why did you refuse that? Why did you refuse the offer? And he says, ma'am, I can't explain it. All I know is that when I went to sing the song, something inside of me would not let me do it. And this conversation ignited that something inside Lucy Campbell, and she later became known as the mother of gospel music. And she began to put pen to the pad, and the words began to flow. This was the first of more than 100 songs that flowed through her after that one encounter. And she wrote this song that she gave to Connie Roseman to sing in 1919 at the National Baptist Convention, entitled Something Within. Listen to the lyrics. She says, something within me holds the reins. Something within me banishes the pain. Something within me I cannot explain. All that I know is there is something within. Friends, the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts that we have been given by the divine is that something. That something that guides us and directs us. That's something that sustains us and maintains us. That's something that tells pain to stand back. That's something that keeps us stable in a seeming unstable world. Oh, yes. We all have that something. We might not be able to explain it. We might not be able to name it. But we all got it. It says, when any man or any mind, any woman, any human accomplishes anything, that achievement is attributed to that something. That something. It says, there is something within you. Can I talk to you? Yes. Open yourself. Let me tell you about you. Open yourself however you need to. If it's open your hands. There is something within you that can lift your life to its highest level. There is something within you that can change illness to health, that can change peace or give you peace amid turmoil. There is something that can turn failure into success and defeat into victory. That something is within you. That can transform loneliness into companionship and happiness. That something is within you. It's the something that empowers the weak to say, I am strong. That something enables the poor to say, I am rich. That something empowers a sick individual to shout out loudly, I am well. Oh, there's a something inside of you. I just want you to know that today. There is something that God has placed and that is within each one of us that has the ability to reproduce into something even greater. Oh, it's a mighty something, so don't play it small. We are called to search ourselves during this. You can put your hands down. Unless you want to, you can keep them up wherever you want to. It's up to you. We are called during this Lenten season to search, to discover, and to awaken that something. That something sits in the soul as that sleeping giant, in the words of the great the minister in his book, Robert Wasner, The Imprisoned Splendor of the Soul. And it's there, it's waiting, it's mighty, it's powerful, but it's only there sleeping until we can awaken it and give it directives. This is true self-discovery. Discovering that something. Many of you might have heard of this gentleman named D.D. Palmer. D.D. Palmer was the founder of the chiropractic movement. His son, B.J. Palmer, penned an epigram. And in it, he talked about, entitled, That Something, That Something. And he talked about that something and a man who encountered that something one day. It says a man was destitute, he was without, he was broke, busted, and disgusted. He was lonely, he was hungry, he was broke, and he needed some help. He saw this well-dressed man, and he approached him, and he said, "Man, I'm hungry." And the gentleman looked at him, looked him over, and said, "And?" He says, "I want you to feed me. Give me some food. Help me." And the man says, "Well, if I feed you, then what?" He says, "Then I can eat and I can try to get a job." And he says, "Well, what if I don't feed you?" He says, "Well, what if you give me some money?" He says, "Well, if I give you some money, then what?" He says, "Then I can get some food and try to get a job." And the man, well-kept man, asked, "And try?" He says, "No, sir, I can't help you, and no man can. No man can help you until you find that something within yourself." And he gave the man the card, and he says, "You go in search of that something. And when you find that something, you come back to me." And the man asked, "Well, why would I want to come back to you?" He says, "You come back to thank me." He says, "Thank you for what?" He says, "When you find it, you'll know what you have to thank me for." So the man goes on this experience, and he begins to have this encounter with the divine and what Neil Donald Walsh calls a conversation with God. And he has this dream, and in the dream, he's awakened in the dream. And he asks the question, "Well, what is this? How did I awake? Who's responsible?" And he heard this voice. And the man asked, "Well, who are you?" And the voice says, "I am that something." "But where are you?" And the voice replied, "I am hidden within your soul." And the man began to ask the question, "Well, how? How did you get there?" And the voice says, "I've been there all along. I was there from the beginning." The man asked, "Why have I not known that you were there before?" And the voice says, "Well, no man knows it until he awakes. And when he awakes, he'll find that I've always been there." And then the man asks, "Well, are you in other men as well?" And the voice says, "I'm in all humankind. See, I am that which calls others, men and women, to move mountains and dry the seas." And then the man says, "Well, you must be faith." And the voice says, "Well, yeah, I am faith, but I am so much more. I am that which makes men face the fires of life and win anyhow. I am faith, but I'm more." Then the man says, "Well, you must be confidence." And the voice says, "Well, yes, I am confidence, but I'm more than that. I am that which makes the babbling brooks lift worlds upon their wavelets. I am confidence, but I am more." The man says, "You must be power." And the voice says, "Yes, I am power, but I'm so much more. I am that which makes the wretched failure lift up himself and rule the world. I am power, but I am more." And then the man says, "Well, you must be ambition." And the voice says, "Yes, I am ambition. I am that inside of man and woman that drives them and that nudges them, that propels them into being their best self, their greatest self. But I am more than ambition. I am faith. I am confidence. I am power. I am ambition." And then the man says, "Well, you must be perseverance." And the voice says, "I am perseverance as well, but I'm more." I am that in man and woman that causes them to keep on trying when everything around them tells them that there's no use. That I am that inside of them that tells them to keep snatching, keep striking until you snatch victory out of the mouth of defeat. I am perseverance, but I'm more. Friends, I'm talking about that something this morning. That's something in every one of us. It's in each one of us. It's called the Mahanta. Not Mahanta Gandhi. He tapped into that Mahanta. He tapped into that something that enabled him to become the great expression of life that we know or knew him to be. And for many, we have been looking here, there, and everywhere. We've been all over the internet looking for it. We've been searching and looking, traveled the world, been to every guru, every teacher, every spiritual expression, every faith, every religion. But friends, I don't care how far you go. I don't care how many teachers you go to. I don't care how many books you read. Until you go to the right place, you'll never reach that something. There's a roadmap to that something. And can't no guru give it to you. Can't no religion give it to you. The master teacher localized it, though. He says, I'll tell you where you can find that something. Do you want to know? Yes. He says, that's something which is the power to change, rechange, to transform your life and circumstances at any time. He says, I'll tell you exactly where it is. It's in the heart of every man and woman. That's where you'll find it. Reminds me of the ancient legend of the tribes. There were some tribes in Africa warring. They were just warring. They could not agree. And the elders got together, and one particular elder decided, I have to do something before this just gets out of hand. And he called the council together and began to have this conversation. And he says, man has tapped into this power, and they're misusing it. They are abusing the power. And the council asked, well, what should we do? Then the man says, I think I know what I ought to do. And one person says, well, I know what you should do. You should take the keys and the map to that power and put it up on top of Diamond Head. Bury it up there so man can't ever think to find it. And the wise elder says, oh, no, man is wise. Whoa, man is wise. You see, they have learned how to hike and climb and parasail and all of that stuff. And they'll find it. They'll get to the top of Diamond Head and they'll find the key to this power. And one council says, well, I know what you should do. You should take it and bury it into the deepest part of the ocean. And the wise elder says, oh, no, the mind of human is wise. And they'll learn to surf and paddleboard and scuba dive and all of that. And they'll find that in the deepest part of the ocean. And the man thought, I know exactly where I'll put it. I know where I'll put that something, and man will never think to look for it. I'll put that something within man himself, within woman. They'll never think to look. They'll look to the stars. They'll look to the mountains. They'll look to the oceans outside of themselves, but they'll never think to look to the stars on the inside. They'll never think to go to the mountain on the inside. They'll never think to go to the ocean on the inside. See, man has been tricked. His mind has been captured. And until his mind gets free, he'll never find it. And that's something that can help change his life and empower him to change his world. So I'll put that something on the inside. Friends, that something gives us the ability to bring light into darkness. That something enables us to take nothing and make something great. That something empowers us to transform the world. But you can't tap into that something just reading about it. running here and there, trying to find an avatar guru to give it to you. No, you got to take some time and go in search of it. Like that woman one day in the Gospel of John, I believe. It says the master teacher and his disciples were traveling from Jerusalem to Galilee. And it said he grew tired and thirsty. He decided to stop by Jacob's well and get a drink of water and just take a rest. And there at the well was a lady. She was looking for it. She was searching for it. She was hungry for it. She was thirsty for it. She tried all of the websites. She tried all of those, whatever you call those sites. She read every book. She went to everybody. And she hadn't found it. And she encountered the master, the Mahanta, the inner power, the inner master. And he tells her all about her life. And he asks her for some water. And she says, I can't give you that. He says, but dear one, if you only knew who was asking. You see, I've tapped into that something. And I can give you some of my water. And it will quench your thirst forevermore. And I can just imagine her like the woman at the well. I've been searching for things that could not satisfy. But then I heard the master speaking. Can you drop it? I want to give it to you. Okay. What key? Come on. F. Ever in doubt, go to F. She was thirsty, y'all. And I'm sensing that there's someone in here thirsty. You're looking? If you have that thirst and you want that thirst to be quenched, I want you to stand. Stand to your feet if you have it, if you're hungry. And open yourself. Don't talk, please. No talking. Just open yourself. Turn within and open your heart, open your mind. How do we find that something? It said, when you ask, you shall receive. When you seek me, you will find me. When you knock, the door will be open. She was thirsty. Fill my cup, Lord. I lift it up, Lord. Come and quench this thirsting of my soul. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Fill my cup, I lift it up, and make me whole. Fill our cup, Lord. We lift it up, Lord. Come and quench this thirsting of our soul. Bread of heaven, feed us till we want no more. Fill our cup, we lift it up, and make us whole. So it's in the asking, it's in the seeking, it's in the knocking. You have to ask within your own being, friends. You have to seek within your own soul. Knock at the door of your own heart. And I promise you, the Mahanta, that something will always respond. And when you get a hold of it, and it gets a hold of you, your life will never be the same again. God bless you.